What's up guys, and welcome back to a new video. So today we're going to cover the Season 8 Blood Spear setup that I have been using. This build does tons of damage overall, and possibly has the best single target DPS currently in the game, making it excellent for farming bosses. Not to mention, it can easily push over tier 100 in the pits. Currently I have completed tier 105, and it could definitely push even higher, and this is great for leveling up all of your glyphs as well. Thanks to the Bone Dusters aspect, we are always overpowering enemies inside of Bone Prison. In this guide, I will cover everything in depth, from the skills used to the Paragon board. Timestamps will be down below, so feel free to jump ahead at any time. Near the end of the video, there will be a portion of the tier 105 gameplay if you want to go ahead and check that out. Also, sound off down in the comments below and let me know how Season 8 is going for you guys and how you feel about it. Currently, myself, I'm having fun with it. Anyways, let's get right into it. Starting off with the skills used in the build, up top we have Reap. We don't actually use Reap. We have Bone Spear. This is obviously our bread and butter. This does heaps of damage. We have Blight. Now we do use this. This is going to give us a debuff and make it to where we deal 20% more damage to enemies. And then right here we have Bone Prison. This is a huge component of the build. We want to always group enemies together with Corpse Tendrils and have them inside of Bone Prison. Therefore, with the Bone Dusters aspect, we're constantly overpowering all enemies that are inside of Bone Prison. We have Corpse Tendrils. Obviously, this is going to pull enemies together, crowd control them, aka slow them. And then, it also creates Blood Orbs, which in the Paragon board, we also get damage from Blood Orbs. And then down here, we have Decrepify. Now, we don't actually put this on our skill bar. We have the aura because of an aspect. And then down here, we have Soul Rift. This is going to be our ultimate skill. This gives us Barrier Essence, a ton of damage overall. It's just great for the build. As for the Book of the Dead, we're going to sacrifice everything up here. Sacrifice the Skirmishers for crit chance. Right here, we're going to sacrifice the Bone Mages and get overpower damage. And then down here, the Iron Golem we're going to get rid of, and we're going to get increased critical strike damage. As for the boss power, starting up top, we're going to go with Grigor's Lightning Square. Basically, you can see right there after you cast a core skill, which we're constantly doing extremely quickly with this build. Lightning tiles outwards for 1.2 seconds, dealing damage. And this is going to be constantly proccing our lucky hit chance. And also it's going to work with Wandering Death's Chest Beam. Your main boss power instantly executes enemies that are below 25% life. So, these lightning bolts are constantly going off all around us and executing enemies to get to 25% life, which helps quite a bit in the pit. Right here, like I said, we have Wandering Death's Chest Beam. Down here we have Belial's Eye Beams, and you see right there, activating your main boss power grants stealth for 2 seconds. After entering stealth, we do 30% multiplicative increase overpower damage, and we're always overpowering in this build, so it's a nice damage boost. And then right here we have Flesh Reaper's Disruption. Basically, we get a multiplier to our vulnerable damage when we have crowd control duration, and we just get a little bit of crowd control duration on our boots with one masterwork, and we can get close to the full 20% bonus out of this. As for the Mercenaries up top, we're going to go with Subo as our hired mercenary. Go to Wire Trap, ready at hand, cover fire, and then down to opening fire, we deal 25% multiplicative increased critical strike damage to enemies hit by Subo's cover fire. Now, I just like to have Subo. Now technically for your hired mercenary up top, you could go with Rahir if you wanted to. There is a way to get damage with Rahir as well. I just like Subo. I like to see everything on the map. For the reinforcement, we have Variana, and then we take Bloodthirst. Basically, the reason we take this is for the 10% attack speed down there. All right, we will go ahead and jump into the gear and aspects really quickly, guys. As for the runes, up top right here, we're going to go with Ahu Quox. Right here, you see right there, casting a skill other than a basic skill. Defensive spends all of your primary resource to increase your damage up to 100% for 1 second. And we're constantly doing this, setting this off and making it to where we're doing huge bursts of damage. And then down here, we're going to go with Sir Zal. You can see right there, cast 5 skills to become exhausted. And when you do, we get 20% increased maximum life. And since we're an overpower build, we get damage based on how much life we have. We want to have as much life and fortify as possible. Now in the gear, we're going to go ahead and throw topazes for the intelligence right here and into the pants. Over here, go ahead and get skulls or, resistances, whatever you need on this side. Here are my stats in town if you guys want to go ahead and check them out real quick. And then also for the elixirs that I use, we use Fortitude 2 for the maximum life, Redamine Buzz, Sage Whisper, and Soothing Spice. All right, we'll go ahead and jump into the gear and aspects. Up top, you definitely got to get yourself a Deathless Visage. Try to get the GA on the chance for Bone Spear projectiles to cast twice and Bone Spear. And then you want to try to masterwork 3 times if possible chance for Bone Spear projectiles to cast twice. Very important. Now with my setup, I just tried to get at least 2 Masterworks on the main ones. But, if you want to put more time into it, you want to push higher tier pits and all that, definitely want to try to get your triple Masterworks wherever you can, because that's going to boost your damage overall. Into the body armor, we're going to go with the Shroud of False Death. Like with many other builds, this is super good for the build. All stats, life, and the +1 to all passives makes it huge for the build. You want to try to go with the GA on all stats and maximum life, or maximum life if you possibly can, and then try to masterwork up the maximum life right here. Now into the gloves right here, you see you want to go with intelligence, maximum life, and ranks to Bone Spear. The aspect that we're going to go right here is Grasping Veins. Now, you want to try to get the GA on Bone Spear. These gloves can be expensive. I actually found a pair with maximum life, int, and Bone Spear, and I had the GA on maximum life and Bone Spear. I actually sold those gloves for 70 billion. As you can see down here, I'm sitting at 97 right now. But yeah, I got lucky, found those gloves. I could have put them on this build, had another rank or 2 to Bone Spear, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted the gold. But yeah, you definitely want to go with the intelligence, maximum life, ranks to Bone Spear, and then try to masterwork up the ranks to Bone Spear. Try to triple that if you can. Now into the pants. These are really important for the build. Indira's Memory. Basically, these pants make Bone Spear a blood skill as well, so we can get all the benefits from the blood multipliers and everything else. On these pants, you want to try to get the greater affix of maximum life and Tides of Blood, and then you want to try to masterwork Tides of Blood as many times as you possibly can. Try to hit that all 3 times. That'll get you a nice damage boost. As for the boots down here, we want to go with intelligence, maximum life, movement speed. Now you want to temper on crowd control duration right there, and that is what in our boss powers makes it to where we get the multiplier for the 1 boss power. And then for your other temper, get movement speed, and then you want to try to hit the crowd control duration depending on your role, either 1 or 2 times, so we can get the full 20% multiplier from our boss powers. And then try to go with the GA of intelligence and maximum life if you can. As for the aspect right here on the boots, we're going to go with the Cursed Aura aspect. This is going to be basically cursing all enemies with Decrepit Fire and Iron Maiden around us. Down into the weapon, you want to go with the 2-handed mace. The reason we go with the 2-handed mace, now yes, you can go with the 2-handed sword and it has the implicit of critical strike damage, but with the 2-handed mace, you get almost 400% overpower damage, which is a nice chunk. Now we do lose out a little bit of attack speed, but with this build, it doesn't matter. We get a ton of attack speed in a lot of other spots. So try to go with the 2-handed mace right here. Go with intelligence, maximum life, both GAs if you can. You have to get the lucky hit, chance to restore primary resource. That's what's going to make it to where our resources just constantly topped off. For the tempers on here, go with blood, attack speed, and Titan's Fall. Now, really important, you want to try to triple masterwork the ranks to Titan's Fall. You can get up to 12 right there, and that's a huge damage multiplier. As for the aspect, I have Bone Dusters right here. Basically, Bone Spear is guaranteed to overpower enemies within Bone Prison, and that's mainly what this build is all about. And it gives us up to 100% multiplier on the 2-handed weapon right here. Now into the amulet, we're going to go with the percent intelligence. You want to try to get ranks to Tides of Blood and Evulsion. In place of Evulsion, whatever else you can get right there. But you definitely want to get the percent intelligence and Tides of Blood. And if you can, try to get greater affixes. Now, it's going to run you super expensive for an amulet like that if they're even on the market. But if you can find it, that would be great. Try to masterwork the ranks to Tides of Blood 3 times if you possibly can. It's going to be the best damage-wise. Now for the tempers on the amulet right here, you see that I have blood overpower damage. That's not bad for the build, but it's not necessarily good. We have a ton of overpower damage overall. Right there, you would want to try to go with blood attack speed. That's just what I ended up with, and I have no more tempers left. And then you definitely want to get Soul Rift duration right there. As for the aspect on your amulet, you're going to go with the sacrificial aspect, boosting our sacrifice bonuses up by quite a bit. Down here into our first ring. On the ring, try to get GA on life, intelligence, attack speed if you possibly can. For tempers, we're going to go with ultimate cooldown and blood attack speed. And then for the aspect right here, we're going to go with Dark Dance. Every 5 seconds, basically, it's going to boost up one of our core skill casts and make it cost life. And it gives us a 80% multiplier. And then in our final ring, we're going to go with the Ring of Starless Skies. This is just great for the build. Try to get the GA of core skills and possibly attack speed. If you can, don't worry about the crit strike chance or lucky hit chance. You're going to want to try to masterwork up the core skills. The attack speed's not bad either. So that's why I just left mine where it was at. Obviously with everything on this, I could have done better with the masterworking, but that would have been a lot more time in farming and stuff like that. And I want to move on to another build. But the other reason that we use Ring of Starless Skies, it lowers the resource cost of our skills and gives us also a 50% multiplier with this build. It's, always up at all times. All right, we will briefly run over the skill tree. Up top, going into Reap, back into Enhance so that we can move down. Right here, we're going to go 3 into Hued Flesh. We want to be making as many corpses as possible. 3 into imperfectly balanced, more essence cost for our skills, but a damage multiplier. Right here, we're going to take Blight, run it back for a 20% multiplier. Definitely want to be using Blight in the higher pits. It'll help to where you're doing more damage. Over here, obviously, max out Bone Spear. Run that back to Supernatural. We want to get the 40% multiplier to our overpower damage. Down here, we're going to go ahead and max out Titan's Fall. And then, Titan's Fall, this is the reason on our weapon that we want to get the ranks to Titan's Fall. I mean, we get a ton of damage overall to this. And this is to, elites and bosses. So right here, I go 1 into Bone Prison, run that back to Dreadful Bone Prison. Over here, 1 into Grim Harvest, and then 3 into Fueled by Death. Nice little damage boost. Down here, now we're going to want to take the Crepify and run that back to Aberrant. This is going to make it to where our cooldowns are going down super quickly. And even though we don't have this on our action bar, we do have it because of our aspect on our boots. And it will get these bonuses to it. Right here, 3 into Amplified Damage. Down here, we're going to go ahead and put 1 into Corpse Tendrils, run it back to Blighted. So we're making the Blood Orbs, and we're getting damage whenever we pick up Blood Orbs. Over here, 3 into Coalesce Blood, nice damage. And then Tides of Blood, ton of damage right here as well. Right here, 3 points into Reaper's Pursuit. Now on our action bar, as you can see right here, we have 3 darkness skills. So, that's getting us a nice damage boost. It's getting us like 24% multiplier to our damage and 24% movement speed just by having those on our action bar. 1 into Serration, 3 into Compound Fracture, and 3 into Avulsion for damage. Down here for our ultimate skill, max out Soul Rift, run that over to Prime Soul Rift. Up here, Finality, we're going to get 3 points into there for damage after casting our ultimate skill. And then Memento Mori, boosting up our sacrifices. And then down into our key passive, we're going to go with 1 into Wrathm's Vigor. This is going to give us a huge multiplier to our overpower damage. Alright, we will go ahead and jump into the Paragon board really quickly. There will be a link to this build on Mobalytics down in the description if you want to check that out. Also, guys, don't forget to level up your glyphs so you get the bigger radius. I think at like 15, you get a radius increase, and then at 46, we'll definitely level those up. And then obviously you want to bring those all the way to 100 if you possibly can, so you can get as much damage as you can out of the build. Right now, currently, I'm sitting at like my essence is 100, but the rest are all sitting at 90. So there's even more damage that I could have, to help push up to the higher pit tiers. Right now, I've completed up to 105 with all my glyphs leveled up, and then also with my Masterworks better, we could definitely probably push to like 110, somewhere in that area. On the starter board right here, we have Amplify. And then the next board that we're going to come into is going to be the Bone Graft board. In the Bone Graft board, we're going to throw Corporeal. And then you can see right here, we get a ton of critical strike damage, bone skill damage, dexterity, willpower. That's why I take this board. Come over here for life and max res. Over here, obviously take Bone Graft. It's going to get us a little bit of a damage. Over here, we get critical strike chance. Next board that we come into is the Blood Begets Blood board. This is why we want to pick up the Blood Orbs and why we want to make them. We get up to a 50% multiplier, 10% for each orb that we pick up. In this board, go ahead and throw Essence. We get a ton of critical strike damage right here. Over here, we're going to go ahead and take Recuperate for maximum life. We get the life over here too. Down here, we get blood damage while healthy. Next board that we come into is Frailty board. First enemies take 10% increased damage from you and your minions. And that can stack up to 40%, and we're always cursing enemies. In this board, we're going to go ahead and throw Dominate for a bunch of overpower damage. And the final board that we come into is going to be the Bloodbath board. Obviously we get a ton of overpower damage right here as well. In this board, go ahead and throw Sacrificial, even more overpower damage and damage while fortified, willpower, all in this area. Down here, we get Thick Hide for a bunch of maximum life. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for the Paragon board. Like I said, the link for this will be down in the description. If you want to check it out that way. There will be Pit Tier 105 gameplay if you want to go ahead and check that out. If you guys have any questions or comments, be sure to let me know down below. Anyways, thanks for watching.